Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. We're going to jump right into part 2 of Heroes of Terrinoth, but just before we do, I have a couple corrections that I want to make, and these are some substantial ones from the last video that really do affect the gameplay, and something I just made a silly mistake on my end in terms of not reactivating my characters a second time every time they activated during the hero phase. You might be wondering, well, why would that happen anyway? Well, if you're not controlling a party of 4 characters all at once, then you have these specific cards that would sit underneath your hero card, and they denote not only do you get 10 extra health for your hero, but you also during the hero phase get an extra activation. You can activate twice, except that you kind of have to bounce those activations just like normal between the heroes within your party. You can't have 2 subsequent ones back to back. Now, what I had not done in the last video was I was only giving my heroes 1 activation during the hero phase each, so we're technically behind by quite a few activations now, which is probably part of the reason why we have a horde of goblins here waiting for us in the shadows, as well as being engulfed by golems as well, and zombies. So what's going to happen in the very first part of this video is we're first off going to correct a couple of those silly mistakes, and then we're also going to give some extra activations to my heroes to help them catch up and also balance out the mistake I made in the first one. Hopefully that helps things. Now there's another correction I'd like to make, but I'll make that when we actually reach it in this video. So we'll start it off with those quick corrections. I'll show you those visually now. So the very first correction that I want to make is the one that I just mentioned, and that's in regards to this card right here. During the hero phase, each hero activates twice. Heroes must alternate activations with each other. So what I'll be doing to correct the fact I missed those in the first part is I'm going to be giving each of my characters 2 extra activations each on the first round of this video in order to give them back the activations they should have had in the prior part. This will catch us up quite a bit and also help us to take on some of these enemies that have now just completely surrounded us. The other thing I've done is I've pulled the card itself out from underneath the hero card. I used to have this sitting something like this, so you could only see the health actually totaling up to 24, but that is part of the reason why I missed it. Even though I've played this a number of times off camera, I still, for whatever reason, let that one just slide right by, and it definitely hurt me. So in order to correct it, we'll balance it out just like that. The second correction that I want to make is in regards to around about the 15-minute mark of part 1, where I had some hits that showed up from black dice. So basically I'd rolled a roll and I'd gotten 2 of these hits. Now when this happens, you have to take a look at the enemies that are ready and engaged with you as to which ones will be hitting you, and on top of that, you're always going to be hit with the highest hit values first before going down the chain. So in this case, if I get hit for these 2, 5 and a 1 would be coming at me. If I got hit for just 1, the 5 would be coming at me. Now at the time I was making that attack in the last video, at the 15-minute mark, I believe I got 2 black hits against me. One of the enemies was a 2 damage, the other was a 1 damage, and I had gone ahead and rolled 2 shields on my white dice that looked something like this. And so actually 1 extra damage should have come through, and that 1 extra damage should have landed on our warrior. So because I now know that I did that incorrectly and missed that damage, I am going to go ahead and give my actual warrior 1 additional damage in order to correct that mistake. So Krutz is going to have to take another point of damage, so we're simply going to remove the 2, and we're going to flip one of them over to a 3, making it a total of 6 damage now on him. Finally, this last correction is going to be in regards to rolling a skull dice on the black die when going ahead and resolving a type of action. Whenever that happens and it triggers the bottom effect of any card in play, whenever you have given a choice between 2 different outcomes, a hero may not choose one that has no effect. So what I did in part 1, which was incorrect, was because the enemy, which is my nemesis here, didn't actually have any damage on him, I chose not to do anything. You actually can't do that, even though it makes it seem like you can, because it says either suffer 2 damage or the enemy recovers health. And I said, well, essentially it has no health, so I'm choosing that so that we don't suffer anything. In situations like that where it's either or, you always have to take a negative pass. So always think of the worst possible outcome in those type of situations, and you have to do that. So in this case, I would have had to take in damage. All right, we're now ready to jump into the playthrough, and the very first thing, guys, that I asked you guys to let me know in the comments below at the very end of the video was about this end of travel phase question. We have to decide whether or not we're going to discard 3 progress tokens from this location or spawn 1 enemy engaged with the party leader. Tough choice, because I really would like to get that progress up to 12 and really start thrashing individuals. That would be fantastic. On the other side of things, we now have 4 characters to deal with in the shadows, plus 3 total engaged across our 2 heroes. So I've had some kind of mixed comments come back. Some people said press on and don't spend any progress on the location card just yet. And other people said go ahead and spend it in order to avoid having another enemy become engaged. And I'm actually thinking about doing just that, more the latter. So I think we're going to spend the 3 progress from this location, or 3 of the progress from this location, to stop us from having to spawn 1 enemy engaged with the party leader. And we're going to move forward. And what I'm going to try to do with these extra activations that I missed from the last video is using now 3 activations total for each hero during this coming hero phase, which is a ton more than normal because I'm correcting my previous mistake. I should be able to chew through the majority of the enemies and hopefully come out on the other side with some questing success as well. We'll have to see how this pans out, but let's find out how it goes. Alright, so we're starting off our activation for the hero phase with the Elder, and the Elder was deemed the party leader, and we're now going to go ahead and choose which activation card we want to use. And in the last video we were able to upgrade the Natural Remedy card, and this card is really cool, allows us to do some great stuff in aiding our other heroes. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to spend this particular token in order to activate that card. Now all 3 of my cards are activated except for the rest card. Another strategy tip there is, if you can do this where you exhaust all of the cards except for the rest one, typically the rest one has a nice benefit for you when you do it if all the rest have been exhausted. So that's another reason why I'm doing aid, in order to take advantage later of a heal thyself advantage from this particular ability card, which I'll talk about when we activate it later on. For now we're in the Natural Remedy world, and we're going to be going ahead and doing an action called Aid, which has us rolling 3 white dice, which is pretty good, not bad at all. Now Aid again is going to basically allow our other hero that we target, which in this case is going to be Krutz, to gain success tokens, and those are going to be really helpful for taking down a golem that's a master, not a minion but a master. We have a minion golem against the Elder, which is bad, but we have a master against our warrior, and we really need some help with taking that one down, as its resistance is even higher than normal. It's a 2 and it's just off screen. This one is a 1. So we're going to go ahead now, roll 3 for aid, but we do have 1 golem here engaged with us, and it is ready, so we have to add 1 black die to that stack. So we're now going ahead rolling 1 black and 3 whites and hoping good things come of this. So here we go. Alright, so that's a really good roll for the most part. Didn't get to block everything I wanted, but let's go ahead and deal with the dice roll now. So first of all, on the positive side of this roll, we just gave Krutz 5 success tokens, which is literally the max that Krutz can actually hold, which is fantastic because we'll be able to use these across a number of different activations, as the most thing you can use per is 2. And so giving him a maximum of 5 is fantastic for future rounds. So we've filled him up with success tokens, so I've just put those on him off camera here. The downside of doing this is the fact that the Golem, which is ready against us, is going to be the only readied character that we can actually take damage from this 1 hit that we rolled, and it happens to be 2, which is not terrible, but it's not great either. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these 1s and we're going to flip it over to a 3. So that kind of hit us fairly hard, but we're going to continue forward. So now all the dice are resolved. Awesome. We're going to move further down this Natural Remedy. The next one says a target hero, so in this case Krutz, may ready 1 activation card and exhaust 1 minion engaged with him or her. Alright, so we swung over here to Krutz, our warrior. This particular targeted hero now can go ahead and ready 1 activation card. But as you can see, I don't have a single token on any of these, so I haven't exhausted any of them, so I can't ready any of them. So that is not going to help me. The next thing I can do is I can exhaust 1 minion engaged with my particular hero here that I've targeted. Krutz. Now the only downside of this is both of the enemies that are engaged with Krutz right now are actually masters, and there you can see that by right underneath the title it says master for both of them, which means I can't actually exhaust either of them because they're the more souped up powerful versions of those particular enemies. So that's even worse. So I got to take advantage of none of that particular bullet point from Natural Remedy. The very last bullet point of Natural Remedy says a target hero recovers 3 wounds. That's huge. Krutz has 6, so I'm going to be going ahead and taking one of his 3 tokens away, and that's going to make him only have 3 total damage now, which is fantastic. And what's even better than that is the fact that my Elder, being a healer, has a really cool ability that says during your activation, when another hero recovers 1 or more wounds, you also recover 1 wound. So my healer actually gets to remove 1 as well. So this was a benefit of going ahead and aiding. This is why I'm a healer, because that ability is really going to help me out. The more I help out Krutz, the more I actually help out myself as the Elder. Alright, now it's time for Krutz's first activation, and I'm going to go ahead and use Oath of Honor, which is one of the upgraded cards that I was able to upgrade in the last video. The first thing it says is you may become engaged with 1 enemy. So if I so choose, I can engage somebody from the shadows. I could even try to pull the Golem from the Elder, because the Golem, there's another Golem on the Elder, and I could pull it over. The only thing I don't want to do right now, per se, is bring it over, because it's going to increase the number of black dice that I have to roll when I make this attack. So I'm actually not going to engage anybody just yet, although I'd love to engage one of these archers up here, but again, I just don't want to involve too many black dice on this first attack, because my focus is going to be on trying to take down one of these golems. That's my hope. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do an attack. The attack states that I roll 3 white dice, but I have to also roll black dice equal to the number of readied enemies that I have against me that are engaged, so that's 2. So we're going to have 2 black dice going in, and what I'm going to do is use 2 of my successes, because that's the most success tokens you can bring into a check, basically, when you're making it at any time. So I can have 5 total in terms of a limit, but I can only ever add 2 into a particular roll or an action. So now I'm going to go ahead and roll, but I know already I have 2 successes going in, so that'll help a lot. The other really cool thing is with this attack is I have to go ahead and pick a target. So the target of my attack is going to be the golem that I'm actually attacking here. But it also says before resolving this attack, choose one other hero. So I'm going to choose the Elder. You may target 1 additional enemy engaged with that hero. So I can actually go ahead and choose to engage the Golem over here. And I'm going to do that from distance. This is the reason why I didn't have it become engaged with me. It's because I get to engage him anyway. So I can choose to go after that Golem. So now I'm targeting both Golems. And it says if that hero, that being the Elder, has 2 or more exhausted activation cards, then apply 2 successes and +1 shield. That's crazy. So what I'm going to do in order to remember this, because now we're technically going to have 4 successes going into this roll, which is crazy. Before we've even rolled the dice, we've already got this advantage. Because the Elder has 3 cards exhausted, we get that benefit. That's huge. Now we're going to take the dice that we've already, our pool that we've already set up, give it a quick roll, and hope for the best. That's not a bad roll. It's not exactly great either, but it could have been a lot worse. So the good news to start it off is we're going to look at the dice that we've rolled. So we've rolled a shield, and we've also rolled 2 successes, but we have 4 successes being added into the pile for a total of 6. We targeted this Golem, which is on the Elder, which has a resistance of 1, but a full HP life of 5, meaning it has 6 total. So we can actually kill this guy outright. We can't kill the Golem attached to us, even though we targeted both, because this one has a resistance of 2, so there's no way in the math for me to be able to actually kill off the Master Golem, but we can get rid of the minion Golem, freeing up the Elder completely of all enemies. So that's huge. We're going to do that. So this one is going to be toast. So that Golem went down in a fury. So these dice are all resolved, and the only ones left over now really is going to be our shield and the hit that we would actually take from whichever enemy's engaged to us that's higher. So if we hadn't have got this shield, we would have been hit for 3 damage, which would have been really nasty. But in this case, because we actually had the shield, it's blocked and nothing bad happens to us. And that's going to go ahead and end our activation for Krutz, except he also has an ability that says, after resolving your attack action, for each enemy you defeated, choose 1 enemy engaged with you, and that enemy suffers a damage. So here's where not choosing to engage the Goblin Archers earlier hurts me a bit, because their resistance is 0, meaning this ability would allow me to put a damage on this. The sad thing is because I'd rather have only rolled 2 dice like I did, because to me that's just better, because the odds of getting something nasty are not as high. These ones actually will not take that extra damage at all, because their resistance is 1 and 2. So whatever 1 damage would do just gets it just gets wiped away. It doesn't do anything. So the ability doesn't have any good trigger for me this turn, but in the coming turn, now that one of the golems has been removed, I will probably be pulling one of these goblin archers out in order to try to take it down slowly through this really cool ability I have on Krutz. But that's it for Krutz. He did a really good job taking down that golem, so we'll jump back over to the Elder and see what the Elder can do for us. All right, so we're over here at the Elder. This is going to technically be our second activation for the Elder, and the Elder right now is going to have to do Heal Thyself because there's nothing else I can do, which is great. Perfect timing. The first thing it says is you may exhaust a minion engaged with you. Well, the minion could have been the Golem, but the Golem's dead. So I knew I was safe either way, at least for a turn, but it's great news I don't have to even deal with it, but it kind of is a moot point at this point because I don't have any minions engaged with me. Second bullet point says rest. Roll 1 white die, and because I have no enemies, it literally is just 1 white die, and when resolving this action, apply +1 defense to the results. The defense that I get as a bonus doesn't matter because I'm not rolling any black dice for any engaged readied enemies, so it's a wash, but I get to roll this white die anyway because when you rest as an action, the active hero recovers the number of wounds, which in this case will be the Elder, based on the number of successes. So the other thing I could do technically is I could throw this success in there to kind of keep his health in a good spot. I might as well. I don't see any reason not to. I could use this though to really help me out in the Explore. Ooh, maybe I'll do it for that. Yeah, let's do it for that. Let's hold off. So we're gonna keep that success for later. Okay, so we ended up just getting 1. So basically, the shield means nothing anyway, because again, we don't have any black dice involved in the equation, but I was able to heal 1 off of my character, so that's not bad. So what's really cool here is that the next bullet says, if all of your other activation cards are exhausted, which they are, then choose one other hero. So the other hero in this case has to be Krutz, and that hero recovers 1 wound. Awesome. What's really awesome about it, and the reason I'm so excited, is 1 wound will drop me from 3 to 2, but I get to take advantage again of the healer's cool ability because on my activation of the actual healer, during your activation, when another hero recovers 1 or more wounds, you recover 1. So my healer goes down to 2 as well. So again, they're just both working off each other in order to heal up. And now my healer only has 2 damage on him. Perfect. And then the last step is to just go ahead and ready all activation cards. So very quick change up like that, and we've now finished the second activation for the Elder. All right, so for Krutz's second activation, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use an advance action here. So this is going to be the Explore action. This should be pretty cool, actually. So first off, I'll go ahead in this one. Oof, the question is do I want to use any tokens before I go ahead and roll this? That's the biggest question here. I have 3 to my name currently, and I get to claim 1 afterwards anyway, so I might as well use 2 because I get 1 at the end of this roll anyway. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to use 2 just to bump things up for us to help us. Now, just so you guys know, off screen here, the location currently needs 12 in progress for us to be fully resolved in terms of traveling or progressing through it. And once we get to 12, we get a benefit, which is really, really cool. So we'll talk about that if we actually get to it, which would be fantastic. But basically gives us extra hits and extra shields, so that would be really cool. It's kind of a scenario effect. So what we're going to do here is use 2 successes to roll to try to beef this up. We've got 2 exploration white dice we get to roll, and I have 2 enemies that are actually engaged with me currently, so I'm going to have to roll 2 black dice. So this is kind of risky because at the end of the day, we basically have to deal with these 2 giant creatures. It would be nice to be able to exhaust one of them. And I don't know. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it. It's a little risky, but I think I'm going to do it anyway. Kind of made my mind up. And we're also pretty good on the health side of things, so should be worthwhile. We'll see how it goes. Oh, that actually worked out okay, kind of, somewhat. Yeah, it actually works out pretty good. So we got a blank, we got 2 shields, which is great because the shields can completely block everything coming from the enemies, which would have been the golem hitting me. So nothing damage-wise to me. We got 1 success, which is actually really weak, but good thing we put 2 successes with it. So total of 3. So we're going to go ahead here and grab a progress 3 token, and we're going to add this to the location. So the location currently now has 8 progress on it, and we need 12 in order to be fully, all the way to the top of that. So that would be really, really good if we can get there. to be able to get the ability, which says at the start of a hero's activation, if the active location is fully explored, the hero claims a success token. That's cool. While the active location is fully explored, each hero applies +1 hit and +1 defense to the result. So it really starts helping. It gives you success tokens at the start of your activation and gives you a hit and defense. So that's really good. But that's going to be it for the first step of the advance. Second is draw and resolve an exploration card. Don't want to forget that, of course. So a quick flip here, we have ancient glyphs. So this one says, the patterns look familiar. Further inspection may prove revelatory. Or yes, yeah. And you may exhaust one activation card. If you do, become focused. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So if I choose to exhaust one right now, I can become focused. Oh, that's really interesting. I could choose to exhaust protect, because then I can go ahead and regroup afterwards and rest. And what does focus do? We haven't had a condition yet. So focus says when resolving your action, you may discard this card to reroll up to 2 dice. Oh, that's really good. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to use the ancient glyphs right now. And this is going to allow us to exhaust this card. And it says we become focused. So right away we get the focus condition. So we have a condition on our hero now, focused, and we'll be able to re-roll. That's pretty cool. So that's going to do it. Decent. And I also get to claim 1 success token back at the very end of this. So we got up to 2, and that's going to resolve the 2 activations for both of our heroes. Now, normally this would be where the hero phase ends in a normal round. But because in the last video, as I mentioned at the beginning of this one, I did not activate my characters 2 extra times as I should have, I'm giving these 2 characters right now the ability to catch up. So they're going to get 2 activations that they missed out on from the first part right now. So they're going to be able to go and activate twice over each, and we have to go back and forth between them. So we have a chance here to hopefully thin the herd a little bit. So we'll head back over to our Elder and see what kind of damage we can do to some of these enemies. All right, so we're starting our 3rd activation here for the Elder. This is kind of the bonus activation, again, given from the prior video mess up. And we're going to be doing Forage, because I really, really want to press on here and be able to fully explore the Wainheart archives. So we're going to go ahead and put a token on that to exhaust it. We get to explore with 2 white dice. Great thing is we've cleared out everything engaged with us, so we don't have any black dice as part of the equation. We're going to use a success token to ensure that we have 1 success going in. And I'm also going to use this really cool Wanderer Stone that I got way earlier on in the playthrough in the first part. And this one says you may discard this card when a hero is resolving his or her explore action, and you do apply +1 successes. So we basically have 2 success going into it, plus whatever we get on the dice. We have 8 progress currently. We need 12. So with these 2 in, we only need 2 successes on this roll in order to fully succeed in exploring that particular location. Boom, we got it. So we are perfect. So we're going to go ahead now and we're going to add those successes or progress to the location. So the Wainheart archives had a level of 12 that we had to get to progress tokens wise, and we were able to make it to 13. And yes, you can actually meet or exceed that particular level. So what we can do is continue to try to keep our progress points higher than the limit, because it says if the active location is fully explored at the beginning of our activation, we get all these bonuses. So if we can continue to keep those progress points up, we're going to get some successes and bonuses going in that are really going to help us out. So we're going to go ahead now, we're going to discard all the things that I use, which is the Wanderer Stone. These extra success is now gone because I spent that. The dice have been resolved, and we're going to move on down to the second portion here. It says draw and resolve 1 exploration card. Now off camera, we have 13 progress on the location, just so you guys are aware. So we're going to go ahead, take an exploration card off, give it to our Elder, and we got ourselves Tangled Web. It says your limbs catch in the sticky web of a spider. Hopefully its maker is not close by. Roll 1 enemy die. Though this doesn't sound good. On a hit, suffer 2 wounds, otherwise become weakened. Oh, this isn't good at all. Oh no, that's not good. That's the worst thing ever. Okay, so this is going to be weakened. We didn't get the actual hit. We don't take the wounds. We actually become weakened, which we've never become before. So let's find out what this weaken card does to us. At the start of your activation, if all of your activation cards are readied, discard this card. So we basically have to kind of heal ourselves in order to get rid of it. That makes sense. We are weakened. And at the end of your activation, either exhaust one activation card or suffer a wound. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So it's just kind of slowing us down a little bit. So we've got conditions actually attached to both of our characters now, and that's going to resolve the third activation of our Elder, and we went ahead and we forged fully, and now we can move over for the third activation for Krutz. All right, starting off Krut's third activation here, we're going to choose to regroup. It says you can exhaust a minion engaged with you. We don't have any, so we'll move past that. Our rest says roll a die, and when resolving, we get an extra defense, so that's good. How we have an extra defense going in, so 1 white die. We'll be grabbing 2 black dice because we have 2 black enemies engaged with us that are ready. So we'll be rolling all these together, seeing what we get. Now I could technically, because we're resting here and getting rid of wounds, I could technically add some successes in, but I want to keep the successes for when we're actually fighting or doing something else, so we can maybe take down the golem. So I'll hold off on spending any successes going in. We do have the focus card, says we can actually discard this to reroll up to 2 dice. I might do that, but it might be a bad time to do that. Again, I might use focus for an attack. So we'll hold on to it, I think, for now. All right, so that was actually really, really bad. And this is where maybe discarding and rerolling might be worth it, because that's actually quite a bit of damage for me. So remember, we do get 1 defense. So technically one of these has actually been blocked. So might as well move that off to the side because it's already been resolved. We got 1 success. So 1 success when we're going ahead and doing a rest is going to actually have us recover 1 wound. So we'll go ahead and take the wound away for the success. So we've now dealt with this. What we have left basically is this die right here. And yes, I could use focused. It says here that you can reroll up to 2 dice. Now, my understanding here, because it doesn't specify whether I can only reroll hero dice or enemy dice, it's just dice in general. So I could try to reroll this one to avoid taking 5 wounds. The sad thing is, this says I can reroll up to 2 dice. So that's kind of where it gets interesting, because I'm like, I could go ahead here and try to reroll this one at the same time and get better than just 1 success in order to make it worthwhile. I don't really want to take 5 wounds from the golem by trying to rest here, so maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll get rid of focus and we'll just reroll both of those dice and hope for the best here. So again, the 1 success that I got, I already took the wound away, so we're gonna have to remember that I might have to, we'll have to see how it pans out in the end. Okay, that actually worked out perfect. So still, the 1 wound that I got rid of from the 1 success is still there. Fantastic. But now I have a defense and a blank, so I easily got past anything nasty coming through and hitting me. So that actually was worth my while to do. So now at this point, we can go ahead to the next step, which says if all of your other activation cards are exhausted, we get to claim a success token. So I get 1 extra success token. Sweet. And then we go down here, it says ready them all. So we're going to go ahead and ready all of our cards, and we're good. That's going to be the 3rd activation for Krutz. We can head back over to Elder for the 4th activation. All right, so here we are, the 4th and final activation for our Elder. And in this one, I'm really thinking that I want to clobber somebody. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the attack clobber card. And it says at the very beginning, you may become engaged with 1 enemy. Now, just before I get really heavy into what I'm going to do here with my actual action, I want to read the weaken condition that my character is now in. It says at the start of your activation, if all of your activation cards are readied, discard this card. So right now, technically, I shouldn't have placed this just yet. You can take a look at this. I still have 1 card exhausted, so I can't get rid of this weakened state, which is unfortunate. This is going to have a bad condition at the end of my turn, though. It says at the end of your activation, either exhaust an activation card or suffer a wound. So I'm going to have to deal with that at the end. So I don't take advantage of what's happening at the beginning, which is to try to get rid of it. I just continue on. So I'll continue to clobber somebody. I don't have anyone engage me right now. The good thing is it says I can become engaged with an enemy. It makes a lot of sense to go after these archers that are up here in the shadows, because they're going to start hitting us from distance with what's called an aimed shot, which will hit us for 2 damage when it comes around to the enemy phase. And if I pull them to be engaged with me, like I just did with this one, this is 1 less that we have to take. So this is an enemy we fought before and we put 2 damage on. I only need 2 more to kill it, but now that it's in my engaged and it's in a ready state, I have to put 1 black die in as well. So we're rolling 2 white and 1 black, hoping for good things. All right, so at the end of the day, I got a blank on the black, I got a hit and a block. So I don't need the block at all, but the success that went through is just gonna be 1 damage. So it's definitely not enough to kill it, which is slightly unfortunate because it would have been nice to actually take it down. But we'll flip this over to a 3. And now we've finished our attack. And at least at this particular point, it's not gonna be up here in the shadows. The last thing we're going to do now is take a look at this. The end of your turn, either exhaust one card or we suffer one wound. So in this case, it might make sense, maybe, to go ahead and exhaust Natural Remedy. Although Natural Remedy really has a lot of benefit to using, and I don't really know if I want to do that just yet. So maybe I'll take the wound. I think I'm going to suffer the wound. So we're going to go ahead and convert 2 wounds for my character and bring it up to 3. I'd rather suffer the wound and keep these 2 available. I really want to use Natural Remedy potentially later on as well. So that's going to resolve my 4th activation with the Elder. All right, and finally, we're going to move back to Krutz for the 4th activation. This is the last one, so we really want to make this one count. Definitely going to go in with the Oath of Honor again. I want to try to take down as many enemies as I possibly can. Now, I have to choose from my engaged enemies first which one I want to target. I have a Golem here in front of me, and I also have a Zombie. I'm definitely going to probably go for the Golem, I think, because we want to get rid of the one that's hitting us for the most damage when we roll these black dice when we happen to get hit back, which is not good. The first thing we can do though with this card is that we can choose to become engaged with another enemy. So we know the Oath of Honor allows me to potentially target another enemy that is sitting on my other hero. So we know we have that option on the table when we make our first roll. So that's great because all we need is 1 damage and there's no resistance and we can wipe those archers away from the Elder. But what I'd love to do is pull another Goblin Archer out of the shadows and bring it down. The only nasty thing is, again, we'll have 3 black dice going into the roll, but I think it's worth it just to avoid getting hit by the aim shot, so I'll do it. I'll bring it down. We'll see if we get really lucky on these hits. We might be able to pull something really cool off. So going into this roll, I'm definitely going to use 2 successes as that's the max I can bring into a roll. So 2 successes already, and then of course this is going to allow me to roll 3 white dice. I'm also going to be rolling 3 black dice along with it. So this is going to be a really interesting roll. It's either going to really be good or really, really, really turn out, hopefully, good. I'm going to go with that. So here we go. Okay, that seriously did not work out as I'd hoped. Now, I guess the good news is, of all times for me to get hit that many times from the enemy, the good news is I have the shields to block 2 of them at least. But that was probably one of the worst rolls at the worst possible time. The only thing is that might save me here is the fact that it does say right here on the Oath of Honor, again, we don't want to forget this, if the hero that we've chosen, or our alternate hero over here, has 2 or more exhausted activation cards, we get to apply +2 successes and a defense to the results. So technically right now I have 3 defense, which means I can block every single one of the hits that just hit me, which is great because that would mean if I hadn't been able to block those, I would have taken 1 damage, 3 damage, and 1 damage, which would have been really nasty. So we blocked everything thanks to my 2 defense dice right here, as well as the +1 there. So what's left is we have 1 success, plus 2 successes here, plus another 2 successes. So in total, we have 5, which isn't bad, but again, we're not going to be able to kill off the Golem. And the cool thing is with this is when you're targeting multiple enemies, you can then go ahead and choose how you want to divide it up. So I targeted the Golem originally. Didn't get the number of successes I needed in order to actually kill it off though. But I also chose to target this individual, the Goblin Archer over here. So maybe I can make use of that as well. So I think that makes the most sense. We're going to go ahead and definitely throw 1 damage at the Goblin Archers to just get rid of it so that we don't have to deal with it on the Elder in the future. So this has been removed, which is great. And that's going to take care of 1 of the successes. So now we have 4 left. And we targeted the Golem, so I can't go ahead and put it on the Zombie or the Goblin Archers. So technically 4 is going at the Golem, but he resists 2. So then only 2 damage actually gets through, which is not the greatest, but I guess we're partway there. So, and got a lot more guys to deal with in the coming rounds. But that is going to do it. So this is going to be quite an interesting round here going into the enemy phase because we've now finally finished the hero phase. We've also finished all 4 activations for each hero. It also included the bonus activations I gave for the mess up in part 1. And now we can finally move into that enemy phase and try to see how this all shakes out. Yes, but before we move into the next phase that starts the enemy phase, I don't want to forget about the fact that I have a really cool ability here on Krutz that says after resolving your attack action for each enemy you defeated, which I did defeat one that was engaged with the Elder, I can then choose one enemy engaged with me and that enemy will suffer a wound, which is awesome. So I can actually go ahead and maybe throw that on somebody like the Goblin Archers because there's no resistance on them whatsoever. So we'll go ahead and put 1 damage on the Goblin Archer. So that doesn't kill it, but it certainly gets it closer. Now we can move into the enemy phase. Alright, so time for the enemy phase. We're going to start off here with our Elder Monk, the party leader. No engaged enemies currently, so then we look to the shadows. Which of the 2 shadow cards do I want to activate? So I could choose the Goblin Witcher or the Goblin Archers. In this case, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and choose the Goblin Archers because we know this is going to hit us anyway, so I might as well just do it. So the first thing that's going to happen is an aim shot. You guys may not be able to see this, but basically there's some information on the card, an AI track. So aim shot basically is going to hit me for 2 wounds. So I got to take those right away. So let's go ahead and grab 2 more wounds, which are going to drop on here, sadly. And then next here we have a retreat, which means if this individual happened to be engaged with us, it would retreat, but it's already in the shadows, so it won't. And then from the shadows, it's going to inflict, which is not fun because it's going to inflict damage. So another one hits me, which means now I'm up to 6 damage. So that's not so good. So this one now has successfully been resolved. I'll exhaust it like that. We head over to Krutz to find out which enemy we're activating over there. Now it's Krutz's turn to activate one of the enemies, so I'm going to go ahead and activate the zombie here. It's got a grab ability that says if this enemy is engaged with you, exhaust an activation card. This one's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to pick one of these things to exhaust. So I'm going to choose to exhaust Protect. And then it says to advance. So this would be for those situations where the actual card, we weren't engaged already. So basically the enemy resolving the keyword would engage the active hero. So if this zombie happened to be up in the shadows, it would come down. So it's already here, doesn't move, then another grab. So another exhaustion. And you can see what I'm doing here is I'm kind of, even though it's a bad thing, I'm setting myself up to be able to regroup next turn to give myself a benefit from all this, even though it's bad because it's basically burning my, my cards, my options. So that one is now exhausted and dealt with, and we can move back over to the Elder. So there truly is only one more enemy left for the Elder to even go after here, and that is the Goblin Witcher. So the Goblin Witcher here says the hex, if this enemy is engaged with you, become weakened. It is not. It was up in the shadows, so that doesn't happen. Next, it's going to retreat, but it won't do that either because it's already in the shadows. And then from the shadows, it inflicts 1 wound. So we will be adding another wound here to our Elder. That's too bad. So we're up to 7, and that's going to finish actually every enemy activation that could possibly happen with the Elder, because once you have no more engaged enemies and all of the shadow enemies are exhausted, you cannot activate enemies that are engaged with another hero, of course. So now we'll flip back over to Krutz and continue on. Alright, so the next activation for the enemy phase is going to be the Golem, who's going to punch me, and it's going to says the enemy is engaged with you, suffer a wound. So 1 more wound here going on to Krutz, sadly. That's literally it. So the Golem's actually worse off when you're actually making your dice rolls, because it hits you for 3, which is really nasty, but on the enemy phase, it's not as bad. And then, of course, it would go ahead and advance, but I'm ignoring the advanced AI because advance means it comes from the shadows and comes into play engaged. But I'm already engaged, so that's skipped. The last one we have to do is activate the Archers. The Archers do the aim shot first. It only actually affects anybody if they're in the shadows, so nothing happens. Retreat is the next one, so basically they run out here, and then from here they inflict damage. And they're going to go ahead and make that attack now on the active hero, which in this case is Krutz, so he'll take the 1 damage that's on the card here. So we'll flip this over to a 3, and we've now resolved all the enemies in play. All of them are exhausted. We can move on. So at the end of the enemy phase, now I've gone ahead and unexhausted all of the enemies because we use that as a way of tracking which enemies have activated. And now we're moving to the Peril phase. We're going to go ahead and move on the Peril track here. So we're going to take the marker, move it on to blue, and read exactly what happens. And we've seen this one before. It says spawn 1 enemy, engage with each hero, and 1 enemy face down in the shadows. So let's go ahead. We'll start by putting the first enemy out against the Elder, then Krutz, and then 1 in the shadows. The very first enemy that's being engaged with the Elder is going to be a zombie, and it's just a minion, so that's nice and easy. Let's head over to Krutz and see what he's found. Krutz, on the other hand, while trying to battle through the archives, has a reanimate warrior coming his way. That's not good, and now we have to go ahead and draw a card and put it face down into the shadows. And to end it off here, we're going to go ahead and put one face down card in the shadow area. Now guys, for those of you that have been watching to this point and might have been thinking, hey, didn't you progress through that location at some point near the end of those activations from the hero phase? And shouldn't you have gained a success token and some extra defense and extra hits? Yes, I should have, and I missed that. That actually was really kind of silly on my part, but the only good news is that it only happened at the very last activation or two. So I did miss out on that, and now that I've played past the enemy phase, I'm not going to go back and give myself credit for that. I did miss it, but it's one of those things you have to try to remember. So in order to remember it off camera here, I'm going to be actually highlighting it with a token so that I remember to look at it and add it into my equations going into the next round, because it really is going to help us out a lot. But we're now moving into the travel phase, and in the travel phase, we know that we're not traveling anywhere because we're just progressing into the same location all the time. There is no deck, but we do have to make an important decision as to whether or not we want to burn any progress in order to stop a enemy from becoming engaged with the party leader. And the party leader right now is the Elder, which would be this character on this side of the board who only has one. So I could actually put another character or another enemy in play over here so I can keep my bonus defense and bonus attack. And I think I want to do that, to be honest. So I'm going to go ahead and say the heck with it. Let's just go ahead and grab a card off the top, and we're not going to pay the 3 progress from the location card, which is right here. And just so those of you that haven't seen it yet, this is what the actual card text states. So we're in that travel phase right now. I could pay 3 to avoid this from happening, but I don't want to because I want to keep all my progress in the location so that I can continue to get those bonuses. So we'll take a card from the top of the deck, we're going to flip it over, and this becomes engaged with my party leader. So not too bad. We should be able to deal with this, I hope. So now we're going to move into a brand new round. And here we go into another round of Heroes of Terrinoth. So in this one, we're starting off with the Elder as the party leader still, and we get the bonus success token because we fully explored our location, and we don't want to forget about that. So every time a hero activates now, as long as our progress stays at 12 or higher, we're going to continue to get success tokens at the beginning of every turn, which is great. I'm going to try to take advantage of that. Plus, we get the extra hit and extra defense on any dice rolls or any actions, which is sweet. So we're going to go ahead now, and I'm definitely going to do Natural Remedy. I get to roll 3 white dice, but I also have to deal with 2 of these guys. So we're going to go ahead and roll all this together. Now I do have a success that I could throw in there. Now Aid, what that's going to do, as we know, is going to allow my other hero to claim a whole bunch of success tokens. So that's really good. So we might as well go ahead and do that right now. See how this pans out. I could use a success token for my character here, but I'm not going to. We also don't want to forget about the weakened condition we have, but it doesn't affect us right now. If all my cards were not exhausted, which they are, I'd be able to get rid of it, but I'm going to have to wait until I rest for that to happen. So here's my roll using Aid from Natural Remedy. Wish me luck. Okay, so that's not terrible. So we actually got a block there, so that's good, and a blank. So we're not going to be taking any damage at all, but we did get 1 success, and we get to re-roll. So we know going into this now, plus technically, even though we have 2 shields here, we actually have 3 because of the extra bonus one off screen here from the location. Plus we technically have 2 hits because we have 1 that we're given for free, plus this one, so that's 2. And it's a critical, so I get to re-roll it. So now we have tons of shields and another hit. So that's 3 successes. So those 3 successes are going to give Krutz on the other side of the screen 3 wonderful success tokens to go with the 1 he already has. So now he's got a total of 4, which is perfect. It's really going to help him out when he goes into a battle here. So now that that is done and resolved, and we didn't take any hits, thankfully, that was good news. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the next step. It says the target hero, which is Krutz, may ready 1 activation card and exhaust 1 minion engaged with him. What I'm going to choose to do is I'm going to choose to have the Oath of Honor. This card here, my most powerful attack, it's going to become unexhausted. So I can use it right again going into the next one. So that'll be awesome, completely worth it to unexhaust that. So that worked out great. And I'm going to actually go ahead out of the 3 minions that are on Krutz. I'm probably going to go ahead, now I have to choose a minion. It can't be the master. So I can't exhaust the golem. I can't exhaust the zombie, but this reanimate warrior here, I can definitely exhaust. So I'll exhaust that one sideways. So that's good news. And then finally right here says the target hero recovers 3 wounds. And that's exactly how many wounds I actually have on Krutz. So that's perfect. And then the bonus I get from the Elder when I heal gives me 1 health back off of him as well. So that was pretty awesome. And now we're at the end of the turn. So the next thing we do is we check right here. It says at the end of your activation, either exhaust one activation card or suffer a wound. I don't want to exhaust another card. If I chose to do this, what ends up happening was if it comes back around to my turn again on my second activation, I actually take 2 damage, and I don't want to do that. So I'd rather actually just take the wound, because just suffering a wound is not as bad. So basically I healed, and then I got hit again, and we're done. So that's the first activation for my Elder. Now we're going to bounce over to Krutz for his first activation. Alright, so we obviously unexhausted the Oath of Honor, and it'd be silly of me not to use this, but we don't want to forget, right off the hop, we get that free success token for having a fully progressed location. So that's going to give us a total of 5 successes, which is our max that we can hold. Sweet. We know on a roll, no matter which action we choose, we can max use 2 successes in on it, so I'm definitely going to get those ready to spend. So I'll just put them right here off screen or just to the side there. And we're definitely going to go ahead and activate Oath of Honor again. So it says you may become engaged with one enemy. I'm not going to, because my max engagement limit's 3, and if I bring another enemy in down, even if I choose to do it, I have to take damage. If you ever bring into engagement more than 3, you actually take a hit from them on the way. So I just don't want to do that. So we're going to go ahead and do the attack now. I get to pick an enemy. I'm definitely going after the Golem because it's the pain from my side of things. Again, remembering the fact that I can target one enemy here and also target an enemy from my other hero on the opposite side. So I'll maybe target the nastier of the 2 that he has to deal with. So maybe this one here instead of the zombie. So we'll target that guy, and we go into this because my Elder that I'm targeting, or not, that I'm helping, is going to give me the ability to have +2 hits and 1 extra defense. So really, all in, is going to get kind of crazy. I have +2 hits here, successes is what it is, 2 more successes for 4, plus I have, I think I have 1 more. No, that's good. So 4 successes going in off the hop to start, plus 2 defense, 1 from this card and then 1 from the location card being fully explored. So 4 and 2, that's pretty good. And then of course we're going to be rolling 3 dice like normal, but these, thankfully, because I have an exhausted guy here, only 2 black dice come into the equation this time, making things a little easier for me. Again, my full target is the Golem, but if I need to bleed any damage over, I'll hit that reanimate warrior from the Elder. Wish me luck. Hope this is a really good roll. Oh, this is nice. Oh, I guess it's not good for damage though. Ooh, this could be tough. Okay, so what's going to happen here, and this is an interesting thing because this is how things get resolved. We have 4 successes to start. So 2 from here, that's 4. And then we have 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have a ton of success here. So first off, we got to distribute all of that everywhere. So first off, with 8, if I want to try to kill off the Golem, out of my 8, if I want to get enough to actually take this thing down, I'm going to need 5 to get past this resistance of 2, and then 3 more damage on it to make it a total of 5. So I need 5 right there, so that sucks up 5 of my 8, which is not bad, leaving me with 3. So I know I can kill the Golem. So that's good. Then it leaves me with the extra 3. The extra 3, I'm definitely going to put the other 2 on this reanimate warrior, killing this one off as well. So now we know how all my successes are going to be resolved. One of the successes basically goes away. I don't get to take advantage of it, sadly. So what we do is we don't actually kill off the enemies that we fully hit for damage yet. So at this point, technically the Golem has 5, and technically the reanimate warrior now has 2. And basically both of these guys are going to die. But we have to resolve the enemy hits next. This is where things get ugly. So 1 hit, that's a success that gets through, comes from the Golem. So the Golem actually still hits me even though I fully defeated it, because resolving of the enemy dice is the second step, and then actually doing the cleanup of all the enemies that have been killed is the third. So this is going to be 1 3 damage hit for me, which is kind of hurtful, but I don't have any damage on my guy anyway, so it's not terrible. And then sorry, my mistake. Hold the phone here. Hold the phone. I do have 2 defense though. I forgot about that. 2 invisible defense that I get from the Oath of Honor and I get from the quest. So I guess in that case, I think I'm good. I blocked both anyway. So I'm perfectly fine. Oh, I love those bonus defense. Those are great. They're fantastic. Yeah, so there's nothing there. That's a perfect that worked out flawlessly. So now we can move. So totally forget what I was talking about there with the actual hits, because I forgot about the fact that I have 1+ defense here for free and then 1 up there. It's a little bit much to keep track of in these types of situations, but now we're going to go ahead and clean up. So we're going to take all the damage off the guys we took out, and we just got rid of 2 of the nastier ones on that 1 hit. So that's actually really good. So Golem down, Reanimate Warrior down. Very, very good. Okay, so that was that, and we have fully now resolved the Oath of Honor. There's no conditions here that we have to deal with on our warrior, and the other cool thing is, after resolving your attack action for each enemy you defeated, choose 1 enemy engaged with you, and that enemy suffers 1 damage. So in that case, I'm going to go ahead, because I killed off 2 enemies, and I'm going to go 1, because no resistance on this guy, and 2. Check that out. He just defeated another character. And then on top of this, which is even more crazy because this guy just got turfed. Again, I go back to the ability. After resolving your attack, oh, I guess it did say after resolving your attack action. So I couldn't, that doesn't chain any further, even though it might seem like you could just keep wiping guys out. It's after the attack action, so you only get 1 chance down the line to do that. Wow, that was a really, really good combat round. Really cleared things up. And now we're going to head back for the second activation coming from our Elder. So here we go with the second activation. We know exactly what we're doing here. We're first off going to take a success token, because we get one of those every time now because we're so special. And then we're going to go ahead. We know we have an extra hit and an extra shield that we get as a bonus. I'm going to go ahead and do Heal Thyself. So it says you may exhaust 1 minion engaged with you. Perfect. This is a minion exhausting them. Fantastic. Rest. I can roll 1 white die. When resolving this action, apply 1 of the defense. We don't need any defense for this because I only have 1 engaged enemy, so I'm not going to worry about any of the bonus defense I get here from this or from the location. I'll just roll the die and see what we get for rest. Any rest here, the active hero recovers some health, so that's good. Give me lots of successes. Oh, check it out, it's a critical. Now, yes, I could have used some of these in order to boost it before I rolled, but I didn't want to. I'm not hurting that much for damage. But this is really good because that's 1 already. There's 2. So I got 2. Not bad, not bad. So I get to heal 2 off. So we'll go ahead and we'll replace this 3, make it a 1. Pretty good. Go down to the next one. It says, if all of your other activation cards are exhausted, choose 1 other hero, and that hero recovers 1 wound. I have no wounds on Krutz at all right now, so I can't take advantage of that. And it does say over here on my ability, during your activation when another hero recovers 1 or more, which Krutz didn't, I can't recover, so I don't get my bonus this time. This is the one time where the bonus on my ability card doesn't pan out because there's no damage to take away from Krutz. So it is what it is, but the good news is I get to ready all my activation cards, which is fantastic. All right, so you'll see now, finally, at the beginning of the next, and we're actually done my second activation, so the hero phase will end once we go to Krutz, but the next round, when it comes around to the Elder again in the future, Weaken's going to disappear because we've rested. We have all of our activation cards are available, so this card will disappear, but right now it says at the end of your activation, either exhaust 1 of these cards, don't want to do that, or suffer damage. I'll take the damage. I definitely want to get rid of this silly weaken condition, so the next time it comes around, I'll be able to get rid of it now, because I chose to handle it like that. Whew, okay, so we got that covered. That turn is over. We're going to head over to Krutz for the second activation, and we're done our hero phase. All right, so we're over here with Krutz, and we're going to get a success token, as we know we do. So we have 4 over here. That's pretty good. We might as well go ahead and do our regroup. That's the only option I got here. So it says you may exhaust a minion engaged with you. This is a master, so I cannot exhaust this guy, sadly. Wish I could, but I can't. Then the next thing I can do here is rest, so I can roll 1 white die. When resolving this action, apply a defense. We're going to need the defense this time because we do have one against us. So we have a black die here, a white die. We're going to get a free defense, but we know we also have 1 free defense and 1 free hit from our location progression. So technically we're going into this with a success and 2 defense. And we're going to roll this. And we're going to see if we can actually heal something. Now, the funny thing is, we actually aren't really trying to heal anything because I don't have any wounds on him anyway. So I'm just doing this just to do it because I'm trying to actually more so clear my row. But I still have to follow the order of operations here. Okay, so I already know I have a free defensive block from this rest card already. So this hit doesn't happen. But then moving on to this particular success, I got a success. It would be nice because it would give me, I'd have the extra one that I have too. Doesn't heal anything, doesn't matter. It's kind of a moot point. So we move on further down to our group. It says if all of your other activation cards are exhausted, claim a success token. Perfect. Now we've pushed ourselves up to our max of 5, which is awesome. So that worked out good. And we get to ready up all of our cards. So now both of our heroes are fully ready going into the next round. But as of right now, we have fully resolved properly the very first hero phase of this entire playthrough, which is 2 activations each for controlling 2 heroes. So that felt good. And we're going to go ahead now and head into the enemy phase. So we're starting off with the Elder, and the Elder currently has an exhausted enemy with him, so that enemy will not be attacking. So we go to the Shadows, and we also have to remember we have a hidden card here in the Shadows as well that we'll have to reveal at some point. We could choose to reveal it first if we really wanted to. We could flip it over and see what happens, but I don't really want to gamble with that just yet. So I'm going to probably go ahead and have maybe, the Hex. The Hex will do nothing. That doesn't. I might just have the Goblin Witcher hit me for 1. Just to resolve it. That's a pretty quick one. So let's do that. Let's have the Goblin Witcher hit me for 1. That's a pretty easy hit, easy to resolve. So that'll finish off that one. And now we're going to head over, and I'm skipping past all the AI stuff. It doesn't apply. I'm just actually just jumping right through and just doing exactly what does apply. Now we'll head over to Krutz and activate an enemy on his side. Well, Krutz actually does have an engaged enemy, so we have to do this zombie one. So here's what really is unfortunate about this. I really wish I could have exhausted it, because it's going to start grabbing all those activation cards away from us again. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to choose to keep the Oath of Honor one open, because that's the one that's the most useful for Krutz right now in terms of enemies. I'm going to exhaust Advance for the first grab, and the second grab is going to exhaust Protect, and that way I still have my Rest and my Oath of Honor for later on. So that one's pretty straightforward, exhausted, and we'll head back over to the Elder. All right, so we're over here with our Elder. We have a couple of Goblin Archers in here. We might as well go ahead and activate one. So one says Aim Shot. If this enemy is in the shadows, the hero with the fewest engaged enemies suffers 2 damage. I get a choice because both of my heroes have an engaged enemy. So I'll just have the Elder Monk actually take. Actually, you know what? No, I'll give it to Krutz if it's a tie, because Krutz actually has no damage at all. It'd make more sense to kind of if it's a tie that way I can choose, so I'll put it on Krutz instead. And then it's going to go ahead here and retreat, and then it's going to inflict a wound. So the infliction of wound has to go against the player that's the active hero, so that 1 hit will come over and hit the Elder, which is unfortunate. And that will satisfy 1 of the Goblin Archers. There's still 2 more guys to activate here in the Shadows, so let's head over to Krutz. All right, Krutz, what do you want to do? Do you want to dig around in the shadows here with this new card, or do we want to go after the Goblin Archers that are right here? Let's just do the Goblin Archers. So we're going to go ahead here and we'll do the Goblin Archers. Again, it's a tie as to who has the most engaged enemies, but I'll give the damage to Krutz. So this Aim Shot from the shadows, boom, piercing Krutz. And then we're going to go retreat this character, doesn't do anything, and then inflicts a damage of 1. So another damage, which I'll put on Krutz. So we got quite a few damage added in there. And now this one has been resolved, and the only enemy left is the one in the shadows, which we're going to leave for our Elder. So with all this silence, we didn't know what was going on at the back of the room, but in the shadows, there was another Golem. Are you kidding me? Okay, so this Golem is going to do what? First, it's going to punch. If this enemy is engaged with you, you'll actually take a wound. No, it's not engaged with anybody. But the next thing it does is advance. That's really unfortunate, because when it advances, it's going to become engaged with the active hero. So a Golem is coming down and will be engaged with the Elder. All right, and now that we've finished the enemy phase, all the enemies are readied back up into the ready positions, so nobody's exhausted anymore. And we're going to head on to the Peril phase, and this is where things are going to get a little crazy. All right, here we go. We're moving up the Peril phase track to the red spot. This is where things get real nasty. So it says, an armored form lurches up the stairs toward you. Flanked by more foes, his eyes glow green with fury. My collection, he rasps. Each hero resolves this Wainhart's effect, this skull effect. So that's really bad. So both of our heroes have to resolve this effect, and that's on the card itself. So we'll just place the card just up here. So that effect is either suffer 1 wound or this enemy recovers a wound. And there's no wounds on the enemy. So this goes back to the very beginning of the video where I said you can't just choose the option that sounds like it will do nothing for you. You have to take the worser in those situations. So we have to just take a wound, because there's no way we can take any healing off this guy. So Krutz is going to jump from 5 to 6 damage. And then we're going to have the Elder's going to go, oh my gosh, to 9 damage. It's actually kind of high. So we're getting up there. We're gonna have to do some healing, I think, soon. And things are about to get a little bit more interesting because not only are we resolving the skull effect, but we're now spawning this nemesis is coming out of his lair, and he's becoming engaged with a party leader. And the party leader is going to be the elder. And then it says, and one enemy engaged with each hero. Well, I seriously didn't see that coming, but now we've got ourselves a big nemesis in play. 3 enemies engaged with the elder now, so we're definitely going to have to do some... Crust is going to have to come over here and start pulling some of these enemies off of the elder and trying to deal with some of them, but that's not all. We now have to draw cards for each of our heroes. So the first one being that the party leader's elder, we're going to have to draw an enemy and engage it with the elder. Now this is where things get interesting because this is the very first time in the entire playthrough where we're bringing another engaged character into our engagement roll, but will be at its max, or actually exceeding its max. The max is 3, and then once you exceed it, bad things happen. So we might as well go ahead and draw and find out what terrible thing happens, and I'll explain how it works. So basically, here we go. Oh, that's terrible. So the Goblin Witcher's coming out. Now, how does this work? And actually, it's not as bad as I thought it was initially. But basically, what's going to happen is if you have your 4th enemy engage with a particular hero, instead of it staying engaged with you, it simply hits you for its damage. So it's going to hit me for 1 that I can't do anything about. And then it's going to actually go run away into the shadows. So it just bounces back in the shadows because the maximum you can have engaged with is 3. So it just kind of smacks you, and it can be really bad sometimes because if that happened to be a really strong golem, that could have been a nice solid hit. We got a little lucky there. I saw the 4 and got a little scared, but we got lucky. And now we have to go ahead and pull and engage an enemy onto Krutz, who has only 1 currently, so he'll be under his limit. Should be a little bit safer, hopefully. Alright, so here's hoping this one is not nasty. Oh, wow. Okay, so there's a Goblin Witcher, but this one's the Master. That's not good. So this one comes in engaged with me, but that's pretty much it. It's not going to attack or that, but it just automatically engage with us. Alright, so what I'm going to do actually, guys, is we're in the travel phase at the end of it now, and I really want to make a decision on whether or not we should pay up the progress in order to avoid having another enemy come out of the deck that we don't know what it is, and then it automatically becomes engaged with our elder, which then it would be over its limit. So I'd take a hit, it would then go to the shadows, it would add to the amount of enemies we have to deal with next round, and all the enemies that are going to engage with us in the enemy phase. I want to know from you guys, what do you think's better? Having another enemy in play that we have no idea what it is and what it's going to do to us, or keeping those bonuses, which is an extra success token every time our heroes activate in the hero turn going into the next round, plus the extra defense and hit that they provide. So again, having a fully explored location in this one is pretty important, but also it's kind of a balance there of what's better, having all that or having to not deal with a surprise. So let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious as to how this is going to swing, because this isn't as easy as the first time I asked you guys. It was a lot easier to figure out which way to go, but this time it's much tougher. I got a funny feeling it'll be more of a 50-50 split. Hopefully you guys are learning a lot and this is really helpful, and also you're getting a lot of enjoyment from the playthrough, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. We'll try and see if we can make that the finale, but it depends on how involved these last few rounds get. So hope you have been enjoying it as well. See you guys in the next episode, and as always, keep on rolling solo.